So there is one product type that is pretty much not selling whatsoever. There might be a couple sales, but it's about as close to zero as you could possibly get. And you probably would have guessed where that product type might be. It's in Surrey Central. Now, Surrey Central right now is a disaster, but it's not a total disaster. It's not comparable to Toronto yet. There's sales happening there. Prices are coming down, but it's not necessarily a crash like what is happening in Toronto, right? So I have the stats pulled up here, and I'm going to break down what's happening in the condo market by square footage and 1 and 2 bed. And I'm just going to give you guys a brief overview of the apartment market or the condo market in general. 761 homes on the market. Actually 757 homes on the market, down slightly from last month. You have sales running at 66 sales. So that is more than 10 months of inventory for the condo market, which is, well, actually by the numbers, I think that's a little bit worse than Toronto right now. But I mean, Toronto's already seen their price declines, right? You know, I'm hearing of like $300,000 price declines since like, you know, the end of last year type of thing, right? So maybe not 300,000, 200,000, stuff like that, right? They're losing a lot of money in the Toronto condo market, all right? Sales to actives is sitting at 9%, which again is slightly more than 10 months of inventory. So that's the broad condo market. Now I'm going to break it down by specific product type. So we have your dog crate condos at 300 to 400 square feet. And inventory actually peaked in June 2024, believe it or not. And then we did a double top formation and we came back down and we're now at 128 of these homes on the market. New listings, again, peaked last spring and has been, you know, I don't know, it looks like it might be downtrending for now. And then we have sales this month, or I guess this spring, sales continued to rise throughout the spring. And then you have the sales to actives at 14%, which isn't that bad. And here's the thing with dog crate condos. They're not that bad, right? Like I have a couple buyers looking to buy these right now. And I find as long as it's a functional layout, I'd say like if you're any less than like 470, it starts getting very hard to have a functional layout. TV placement doesn't make sense. Bedroom isn't big enough. The kitchen might be closed off. Those kinds of things, right? But if you're a buyer who wants to buy something under $400,000, well, you have a choice to make. Either you buy an older condo that is 500 and whatever square feet, that is a bigger floor plan, but then you deal with, you know, potentially a bad strata or a worse strata, right? And not as good of amenities. Or you buy a newer condo that's smaller, but maybe has just as functional of a layout as something that's older. Because the problem with a lot of older condos is it'll be 560 square feet, but it'll kind of be like a stupid layout, right? Like they'll waste 80 square feet on like a foyer or something like that. Or like the kitchen will be like closed off in like a corner and super dark, or they'll have like a random den that doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean? So, you know, you make the choice. Do you want a new product where there's no wasted square footage and it's functional, but it's small, 480 square feet, 475 square feet? Or do you want something older that has more space, but it's not as functional as the 480 square foot condo? And a lot of my buyers lately have been choosing the 480 square foot condo that has the, you know, the co-working space and the gym and the pool and the, you know, like a lot of the new product in Surrey Central, like typically speaking, in most cities, the older product is actually in the best locations, right? Because 30 years ago, that developer bought the best piece of land and built on it. But actually in Surrey Central, because that was like basically a blank canvas 15 years ago, a lot of the best locations are actually where the new product is, right? Like that King George hub, I would say, is the best pocket in Surrey Central, and everything there is pretty much brand new. So anyways, a lot of my buyers have actually been opting into the dog crate condo, and by the numbers here in Surrey, they're actually not selling through too bad at the moment. Now, getting into 500 to 600 square feet, let's go 1 bedrooms. Same thing, inventory peaked basically summer to fall of last year, and it went back up, double topped, is rolling back over 174 homes on the market. Sales only at 13, so that is a very high months of inventory. And the sales to actives for 1 beds, 500 to 600 square feet, are at a 7% sales ratio. So they're selling through half as bad or half as good. Well, half as bad would probably be the proper thing to say as the dog crate condo, believe it or not, right? Everybody has a beef with these dog crate condos, but they're actually holding up really well in Surrey Central right now in comparison to your full-sized one-bedroom condo, right? Now, what I want to show you guys, this is the product type that is basically completely frozen. Dog crate, two-bedroom condo. Look at the inventory here. It is still rising, right? Last year, the one beds, the dog crate, one bed condos, the studios, whatever, peaked out last year. And then it was actually less this year. The rise in inventory that we saw this year did not go as high as the peak of last year. We look at the dog crate two-bedroom condo, and it's still going up, right? 116 last year, 137. Now we're at 140. So we're, whatever that is, 25% more of these listings this year in comparison to last year. Let's look at the sales. 7 sales. Let's look at the sales to actives. Wow. 0.05% sales ratio. I have never seen a sales ratio this low. I've literally never seen a sales ratio this low. This is why I am a big advocate for buying two bedrooms over 800 square feet. Now, if you have to buy a two bedroom that's 750 square feet, you're probably all right. Surrey Central has a lot working against it right now. There's a couple things happening here. One, people don't really want to buy these two bedrooms. Two, they're all priced really high because these units were purchased at much higher prices. But again, in Surrey Central, there's a lot of two bedrooms that are built at like 720 square feet, 730 square feet, 740 square feet, which is going to be a very tough product to make functional for a two bedroom. And that being the case, it's going to be very hard to sell later. And that is being reflected in the numbers right now. Now, just out of curiosity, I'm going to go 800 to 900 and see if this is just as bad. I actually didn't even look at this. Let's see what the inventory is for this. So, wow, this is also not good. So two bedrooms in general, I just think they're just really expensive in Surrey Central. A lot of them were purchased for $700,000+, and now those prices are in the high fives, right? So a lot of people who bought two bedrooms are underwater and they're trying to list at a higher price so they're not losing any money. And that is causing inventory in that segment to build up. Sales 10. But if you look at the sales ratio, it's not less than 1%. So it's still a very high months of inventory. It's still more than 10 months of inventory. But some of them are at least selling. Once you get under 800 square feet, that market is completely frozen at the moment, right? Now, again, I just want to reiterate, right? I think if you have a two bedroom that's 750 square feet, that's still most likely going to be a livable floor plan. It'll be tight, it'll be small, but as long as it's built in a functional way, you should be fine. Once you get under that 750, it's very hard to have a functional floor plan where the bedrooms are big enough for a queen size bed. There's probably not going to be a lot of storage. The closets are going to be small. The TV placement might not make sense. There might not be a lot of counter space. All these kinds of problems start coming up under that 750 range, in my opinion. And like I said, this is clearly being reflected in the stats. So yeah, I guess my point being in this video, if you're buying a two bedroom, I would recommend always that you go at least 800 square feet. Because when the market turns and there's lots of inventory, people are going to go for the two bedrooms that are the most livable. And I think that starts ideally at 800 square feet. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. If you want to chat with me about buying real estate in the Fraser Valley, link down in the description. Otherwise, I just appreciate you for watching the video, following along, subscribing to the channel. I'm that Agent Kelly. I'm making moves to move you. Peace.